So we'll invite contributors to both statements.
So if you may decide which statement to contribute. Yes, let me listen to your honorable member for the Kole.
Yes, Right Honourable Speaker, Kole. Right Honourable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the statements made by members on the commemoration of the International Day for Refugees, as well as that on national security. Mr. Speaker, in speaking about refugees, there's a tendency to forget that
a huge number of people that we don't avert our attention to are the internally displaced persons. And by definition, they satisfy all the other criteria for refugees except that they have not crossed any internationally recognized state borders. Mr. Speaker, just to give an idea of the severity of the internationally displaced persons globally, in Yemen there are 2.5 million internally displaced persons, I beg your pardon. In Myanmar, 644,000 IDPs. Nigeria, 2.2 million IDPs. South Sudan, 1.6 IDPs. Afghanistan, 1.2 million IDPs. Somalia, 1.2 IDPs. And Syria and Iraq have 7 to 8 million IDPs, which represents about 20% of the refugees globally. Mr. Speaker, majority of those affected the most when there's a conflict or any disaster tend to be the women and children. And unfortunately, a lot of the data does not really break down the extent of the suffering that the women and children go through. And a lot of these are exposures that happen, which are underlying problems during peacetime, which only become aggravated in times of conflict or disaster. And this ties in nicely to the issue of our national security and the concept of see something and say something. And Mr. Speaker, perhaps it would be a good opportunity for the National Security Minister to present a full statement to the House, because we need to know what the chain of command is and who are you to say something to when you see it. And Mr. Speaker, in addition to that, the cost of having to deal with a terrorist attack within a country is so high that we cannot afford to go down that path. And as we can see in some of the other countries where terrorist attacks and violent extremism is spreading, it's quite clear that that break between central government and the rest of the country is one of the things where there's a gap in the provision of services between the government and the people, and others coming in providing those services tend to be seen as the saviors of those communities. Mr. Speaker, the danger in allowing terrorism to make itself manifest in a country is that it becomes a profitable business and it becomes difficult to weed it out. And therefore, we have a lot at stake, and it's in our best interest to ensure that we do not allow any of such activities to become rooted in our country, lest it becomes so profitable that our quest to actually put an end to it becomes futile. And this does not need anything than for us to just cast our eyes in the sub-region to see the difficulty with which certain terrorist groups are being brought under control, because now it's become more profitable for them to exist. There are groups that profit by conflict, who profit when there's chaos, and who profit when there's war. And we must ensure that we have enough education within our country to make sure that our citizens understand the value of ensuring that their safety and national security are preserved and that they have a role to play. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.